Good afternoon, everyone. For the continuation of my discussion, I will now discuss to you ethnicity and social networks. Okay, so the ethnicity that I'm going to discuss to you are only exclusive to African American Vernacular English, British Black English, and Maori New Zealanders. And I'm also going to discuss social networks. Okay, next, moving on. So, ethnicity. Many ethnic groups use distinctive language associated with their ethnic identity. Even when a complete conversation on an ethnic language is possible, people may use short phrases, verbal fillers, or linguistic tags which signal ethnicity. So, I have here a few examples. So, the first, New Zealanders use Maori linguistic signals like kia ora, eke, and ni to express their ethnic identity. So kia ora, it's their way of saying hello and thank you. Okay. Eke and ni, I don't know what do this word mean. Okay. Next, Chinese Singaporeans in Singapore use the tagla to express solidarity. Okay. The third example, Italians in Boston and Sydney use particularly high percentage of vernacular pronunciations of certain vowels. And the fourth example, Scottish people in New Zealand retain the R. And the last, Jewish people in Boston and New York use marked linguistic tags such as oy vey. So oy vey indicates dismay or grief. Okay. And Yiddish vocabulary items such as bagel. Bagel or ring, or it means to bend or bow. Okay, next. So the African American vernacular English. So they omit the verb be because for there is an invariant, or the invariant be signal recurring actions. It uses multiple negations and consonant cluster simplification. Okay. The British Black English. So people of West Indian or African Caribbean origin were born in Britain are described as British Black community. So they speak Patois, a variety of Jamaican. So some of the vocabulary of British Black are leak, which means heat, kengi means quick, and with regards to pronunciation, okay, the word then is pronounced as then, and the word thin is pronounced as thin. Okay, in terms of grammar, they that they don't use plural tense markers. Okay, next. Okay, the Maori New Zealanders. So these are some of the vocabulary. So tangi means funeral. Kia or kuya, I don't know how to pronounce that word, sorry. So it means old woman. And with regards to pronunciation, almost the same with British Black. So then is pronounced as then. And with regards to grammar, the vernacular use of present and past tense forms. Um, um, they have difference in, I mean, British and Maori differ with regards to grammar. Okay. Next, okay, ethnicity. So Filipino constitute the largest ethnic minority group in Hong Kong, and there are about 140 Filipinos there. And this 140 Filipinos in Hong Kong are almost foreign domestic helpers. So Cantonese, English, and Filipino are some of the major languages used in Hong Kong. Okay, so let's now come to social networks. Okay, people's speech reflect the types of network they belong to. So in the field of social linguistics, social network describes the structure of a particular speech community. And they are actually composed of web of ties between individuals, and um, the structure of the network vary depending on the type of connection it is composed of. Okay, so let's now come to flexity and density. So flexity, whether members of a person's network are in touch with each other. So it's clear that people in the network are in touch with each other. Okay, while density, whether there are many types of transaction members are involved in. So it refers to the fact that density um, I mean, refers to the fact that many people share the same social contact. Next, so language change. So before we proceed to the language change, So the social network, okay, theory asserts that social network in the interaction between the members of the network are actually the driven force behind the language change. So that's how it come to language change. Or those that is some of the factor for language change. Okay, language change had been especially the most favored field in the 19th century. During the period, language historians reconstructed the prehistorical language that they claimed to be of existence in the remote past from which the languages we find these days have evolved. So language change is simply a phenomenon by which there is already a permanent alterations, okay, in the language or in the futures in the use of the language over time. So that's language change. Okay. Next, so how do language changes spread? So there are three. Okay. Sorry for the numbering. Okay. The first one is from group to group. So these are changes spread like waves in different directions, and social factors such as age, gender, status, and social group affect the rates and directions of change. Okay. Second one is from style to style, from more formal to more casual, from one individual to another, from one social group to another, and from one word to another. The last change is lexical diffusion. So the change from one word's vowel to another, sound change begins on one word and later on in another, etc. So that is the lexical diffusion as one of the changes. Okay, moving on. So let's now come to reasons for language change. So according to Holmes, there are three reasons: social status, sex, and interaction. So it says here that on the other hand, a lot of studies suggest that there are two reasons: internal and external. So internal reasons refers to the change from the sound of ng found in the word, such as reading, going, and saying, and these words are considered as in the standard English variety into n. So this n is considered as the non-English variety. Okay, so that's internal reason. The external reasons entails four. First, the immigration of the language speaker. Okay. Next is the invention of the technology. So particularly computer device word mouse, or we have here the www or the world wide web. Surfing means searching or visiting, okay, with regards to the invention of technology. And the number three is the economic and social values of change. So people when a lot of people in the world believe that English has a more um, economic value and social prestige than others, then they will choose to learn it instead of others. So that's the economic and social value of language. While the fourth one is political situation. So intellect of um, political leaders, such as president, for example, actually evoke a change of language treatment in a variety of language that is used in a society. Next, okay, so let's now come to the kinds of language changes. So the first one is sound change. So a lot of language historians carried researches to find why such similarities took place as can as can be observed in several words of Sanskrit, Latin, and Germanic language, which include English as one of the languages as listed below. So I have here a table that shows how does the changes happen. Okay, so there are three columns. The first column contains the Latin, the second Sanskrit, and the last is English. So in Latin, it's pater, but in Sanskrit, it becomes Peter. And in English, it is translated or become pater. Okay, in Latin, it's duo. In Sanskrit, it's va. And in English, it means two, or translated or changes as two. And in Latin, it is tres. In Sanskrit is trayas, and in English it is changed as three. Okay, so these are some examples of sounds change. Okay, next, so let's now come to grammatical change. To see that a language has undergone a grammatical changes, some structures and grammatical items found in the past should be compared with those used today. In older English, words in declarative sentences might be ordered into subject, object, verb, but in modern, the common order should be subject, verb, object. So I've here an example. So seaman bone king slow. So it's translated in English as the man slew the king. So let us take the modern order. So subject, verb, and object. So seaman is the man, slow is slew in English, slew, and object is bone king, kinning, or it means the king. So meaning to say there is actually a change in grammatical because it should be, we should somehow consider the modern order, which is subject, verb, and object. Moving on, let's now come to lexical change. Among the components of language, the lexicon most commonly undergoes change. The lexicon changes when new words are formed and borrowed. So we all know that lexicon is a complete set of meaningful units in a language. So in simple terms, this lexicon is actually a vocabulary of a particular person or people. Okay, so there are actually three changes. So the first is the formation or borrowing. So new words are often formed in order to fulfill the needs for naming the new things. Words such as compact disc, microprocessor, Bluetooth, Facebook were formed in English to name the technology that were invented. So these words are considered as is. There's no translation of these words into Filipino or other into Filipino, I mean. Okay. Next, English, in fact, has borrowed a lot of word in lexicon from other languages in its history. For example, pizza and spaghetti from Italy. Okay, Panzer and hamburger from German, robot from Czech, and karma and yoga from Sanskrit. Okay, let's now come to another lexical change. Okay, the change of the sounds and spelling. So Indonesian language has been through several stages of spelling reformation in 1972. It's been a couple of years, okay, or decade that passed. For example, the U used to be spelled as O-E, okay, and K with CH, the J with DJ, and Y with J. These are some examples of the change of sounds and spellings. Okay. The next is the change of meaning. So the change of meaning can be classified as expanding, narrowing, or shifting, or changing totally. So for example, I have here three words. So the first is holiday. So before, holiday means a religious holiday, but now it means any day when we do not go to work or school. Right? Another example is the word starve. Before, starve means to die, but now it means to die of hunger. Okay, and the next is meat. Okay, before the meat simply means as food, but now it means food from animal flesh. Okay, parang there is already an specification. Okay. So, in-specify lang siya ng maigi. Okay, next. Okay, so before I end this lesson, so I want to share a quotation from Noam Chomsky. So he said, I quote, that a language is not just words, it's a culture, a tradition, a unification of a community, a whole history that create what a community is. It's all embodied in a language. So the basic premise of social linguistics is with regards to language is that language is variable and ever changing. As a result, language is not uniform and or constant, but rather it is varied and inconsistent, okay, for both individual users within and among the group of speakers who use the same language. So let us embrace the differences, the uniqueness of the languages that we have. Let us be open. Let us try to understand, and if possible, at least learn the different languages that we have, so that we can build a strong connection in our community or society. So I hope you learned something from this video presentation. Thank you and good night.